Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Once again, I was called out by an elected official, so let's get into it. For those that don't know, in my district, Orange County Classical Academy sent a lease offer to the Board of Education for our district. And this caused a lot of outrage in the community because they thought it was shutting down a narrative that came from the Democratic Party and wanting to be able to sway votes, in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there. Well, one of the Democratic board trustees actually toured the school that had this negative narrative. And so she toured it. I left a comment and I told her I look forward to seeing how you plan to increase enrollment at Esplanade. Also, why didn't you increase enrollment for the 2 years when you had the board majority? She took it upon herself to respond to my comment, which I am thankful of because she only engages in me when you actually think you have one up on me or I don't know what I'm talking about. And it's going to continue to be false. I actually know a lot about what I'm talking about, but let's read your response. I want to address some of these things, but I want to go over 2 talking points that you mentioned. And so you said, while in the majority, we continue to build a future by promoting a long-term facilities master plan that included future programming. We approved our first ever attract and retain program that brought enrollment throughout the district and well above projections. That was kind of interesting to me because I was actually in the boardroom when they talked about the attract and retain methods. And I did have to reference them a little bit again in research, in deep dive into this, also the budget, to understand the full scope of what's happening here. And so something that I perceive that you haven't done, even though this information was presented to you. So let's talk about the attract and retain method really quickly of what it is. So it's divided up into 6 components. It's going to be effective leadership, sustainable funding sources, expanding program offerings, quality instruction, engaging community systems, and signature programs. So those are all the ways that you would implement attract and retain according to the district. But there's something that's left out here. My favorite part that was said in the explanation of attract and retain was if you don't have quality instruction and quality staff, you can't have an attract and retain initiative.
So we're going to explain what attract and retain is and what that philosophy and program really entails. But it's really, as you see in this diagram, it's really a comprehensive system. It's not just about fixing buildings. It's not about putting new facilities in. It starts with quality instruction. And I don't want to steal Mr. Irving's thunder, but unless you have quality instructors, unless you have quality employees, you cannot implement an attract and retain program. Right? It's a complement of all of these things working together.
My question to you, Trustee Erickson, is do you think the way that our teachers and our teachers union has been behaving over the last year in our board meetings is any way appropriate to approve such an initiative? Like, if the loudest teachers of OUSD are coming to the board meetings, yelling and laughing and mocking parents, some of the things that you have done.
Ms. Minor, you are not a parent in Orange Unified School District. Mr. Ledesma, you are not a parent in Orange Unified School District, nor have you ever been.
Of the district.
But you do not have the experience of a parent.
About the
so
schools.
Please don't sit
I'm
up
a
here and
taxpayer.
pretend like you do because it's not right. What?
Right.
So this is what I'd like to know. I'd like to know whether or not the district.
Please keep it down. Keep it down.
I would like.
Please keep it down, folks. This is our time to speak, please.
My parents brought us here because when I was born under the communist regime of Nicolae Ceausescu, the state owned me and not my parents. Your oath of office as a trustee was that you would uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. And if you are not willing to do that, I accept your resignation.
So there's already 2 of the 6 boxes that are being negatively affected by the Democratic Party. 2 of the 6, 1/3. 1/3. What was most concerning to me is that I believe it was in March of last year. I think it was March of last year. So when they went over this, they actually talked about one of the big key components that is for attract and retain, and that's showcases. And you actually attended some of those, and you mentioned it in the meeting. But what's troubling to me is in that presentation, our district said that our elementary schools have not had their showcase because of the Omicron variant of COVID-19.
Our community showcases. We continue to promote all of our programs. Last year, we had our high school showcases. We had planned them to be community showcase events with our elementary, middle, and high schools. However, when we got back from winter break, we had the Omicron outbreak, and so we had to par it down. So we didn't have the elementary, middle schools participating. However, we are looking to open that up this year.
And they still haven't. So to sit here and say the attract and retain method is going to help Esplanade, you're wrong. Because the main key component of this that really attracts the community based on what the district is saying are these showcases, and it hasn't happened for the elementary schools. I understand what has happened, and I understand it's no one's fault. I'm not blaming anyone for the pandemic. I'm not blaming anyone for any of that. I'm just simply pointing out that one of the branches to this method or to this initiative is these showcases that did not happen for the elementary schools. So to sit there and say the attract and retain method would have or has helped the Esplanade students in its full capacity is incorrect, because it hasn't, because they haven't been able to achieve that aspect. For instance, during that same meeting, many elementary schools were showcased in this attract and retain method. And I believe it was Crescent Elementary, bravo Crescent, who was utilizing social media to be able to attract new enrollment into their campus.
We've seen 29 interdistrict transfers into West Orange Elementary, and 29 new students to OUSD. And again, a lot of the work that she and her team are doing there, they are publicizing their work on social media. She has a WIN program called What I Need, and it's an intervention and advancement program for her students at West Orange. So again, just some more examples of successes we've seen.
Mr. Irvin, let's say her name again. What's her name?
Monica Murray.
Monica. Thank you.
Wow.
Congratulations to
Yeah.
Monica Murray. Wow.
So people understand, we were just at West Orange last week, and it's so impressive. And they showed us their whole intervention, program, and how they have every single child's name down on and where they are. And I mean, it's phenomenal what they're doing over there.
So if they were highlighted for that aspect, with amongst other things from other elementary schools, Esplanade was not on that list. Why? Has anyone looked at Esplanade and said, you know what? What's happening here? 6 months ago, there was a narrative that the campus might shut down. What has been done then till now to help the campus? That's my concern here. Also, during a attract and retain in regards to the entire Unified School District of Orange, school choice is a branch of that. So I'm not sitting here saying that OCCA is a part of the OUSD charters. It's not. But to sit here and look down upon school choice, which your side has done and voted against in our board meetings, truly hurts attract and retain.
Now we vote on Explorer Academy licensing agreement.
Is there a motion and a second for that?
Yes, there was already a motion.
I moved it. Ms. Minor seconded it.
Yeah. So, Karen, can we have another roll call vote, please?
Ms. Minor,
Yes.
Ms. Rumsey,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Mr. Ledesma,
Yes.
Ms. Page,
No.
Ms. Erickson,
No.
Ms. Yamasaki.
No.
Motion passes 4-3.
So it's obvious that you guys want charter schools, and that's your prerogative, that's your leadership. I'm not going to sit there and knock you for it. That's a different conversation for a different time. But you can't sit here and support, attract, and retain, and then use it as a shield to face the truth. And the truth is, we've spent almost $3 million in the last school district, or in the last calendar year of our budget, to still lose 300 students across all of our campuses. But we're supposed to sit here and be okay with attract and retain going its course. I understand that this might not be in your scope of lens, and that's because you said, as a board member, it's not our job to micromanage the expert educators doing their jobs. We're supposed to set priorities, direction, and policy to achieve those priorities. Enrollment in and itself isn't the only goal. High quality, effective education that meets the unique needs of students and meets them where they are at with the mindset towards growth is the goal. And it needs to be done on a warm and welcoming campus that embraces all students. Okay, let's talk about that. With this method, there should be no reason for you to be advocating against some of these policies that would actually attract in more families into our district. For instance, when you walked out of our September 7th board meeting, you failed to vote on a parental notification policy that that is demanded by 71% of voters. So if 71% of the people that go to the ballot support this, and we are one of the very few districts that would have this policy put in place, what do you think would do in turn for the families that's surrounding us that are concerned about their children and being kept in the dark? If we promote stuff like that, do you think that that would attract more families into the district, considering it's an overwhelming demand from our community or from the American people? Don't you think putting parents in the forefront of those decisions would help retain the students that we have at our campus? But that's neither here nor there, okay? Let's talk about the money aspect of attract and retain, okay? So don't quote me on this, but I think we get about $12,413 per student that enrolls in the Orange Unified School District. That was something I pulled from the attract and retain. It could be off, but I think that's about right. But you know how much we spent to only get about 300 students? We spent an entire year's salary, entire year revenue for one student to get them to enroll into OUSD. What does this mean? Let me tell you. What this means is we've spent, let's just round up, $13,000. We spent $13,000 for the budget that year to get a family to enroll in OUSD. This could be done through marketing, mailers, presentations, showcases, those types of things. Well, it takes us an entire school year to get that money back, which means it's not until the student's second year of enrollment that we actually start seeing money come back to us that we haven't spent yet, making a profit on gaining that student in. This is crucial. Why is it crucial? Is because we're a public education system. We're not rich by any means, and we have to be extremely responsible for the way that we spend this money. And so for me, I'm deeply concerned with that number. Our student acquisition cost is very concerning to me. So if we're going to sit here and be happy about attract and retain, you have to prove to me that it is the best option currently. And the reason I say currently is because attract and retain isn't just one system here. It's multiples of six. It's expanding of 6 different components that I went over early in this video. So if we've already established that 1/3 of attract and retain is not being met because of the loudest teachers and staff going to the boardroom and berating the parents and the staff, that's not good. We already talked about effective leadership and the things that some of the board members are doing on our dais. So that's 1/3 of attract and retain being pulled out and not even helping. That's a crucial branch to the whole initiative. Now, we've also deep dived into the numbers real quick to be able to establish that, in my opinion, which I'll go over right now, of why I'm qualified to say this, is not positive. It's not good spending. But what we do know is that Crescent Elementary made it on the initiative, or excuse me, made it on the recognition of Attract and Retain because of their abilities to harness social media. And that came from the district. That didn't come from me or anything. That came from the district and the presentation of Attract and Retain. Okay. Well, you guys like to sit here and say that I have no idea what I'm talking about. Well, let me educate you on who I am and why I know what I know. So I have 3 degrees. Both of my undergrad degrees are in business administration. One is with an emphasis in accounting. And then I got my master's in organizational leadership with an emphasis, excuse me, I shouldn't say emphasis, with a concentration in human development. What does this mean? It means that I've spent 7 years educating myself on how to run an effective organization. But not only that, during that time, I've gotten over 30 certificates through the state of California, large organizations like Microsoft to be certified in their software, and most importantly, by the counties that came into our public school system and trained us on a lot of these different options when it comes to running businesses, such as marketing, those types of things very early on with those certificates. But after that, I spent my time understanding human behavior and how consumers and the American people behave when it comes to certain topics, decisions that they make, and the way that they see life, which is evolving all the time. But let's talk about my career. I spent 10 years of my life dealing with admissions in higher education, where I was focusing on the high school student transitioning from the high school to college. I did that for 10 years, but the differences between the public education system and the college system is if you didn't meet your numbers, you got fired. I was the highest performing person, and I was able to retain the highest amount of students while keeping my revenue, or excuse me, my accounts receivable extremely low. What does this mean? It means that I took the time to understand and help my students so they stayed in school, so they had the money to afford it, and they had all the resources that they need to be successful. This way, they can just focus on their classes and getting good grades. They didn't have to worry about everything else. But most importantly, I trained my students to always be better than what they brought to the table when they woke up. What does that mean? It means that you are constantly pushing yourself every day to do better and be better, because this is a very hard and confusing world. And the best thing that I can do as your advisor is to give you the resources and push you. In those 10 years that I've done it, I was able to help other campuses. I was helping over 60 campuses, satellite campuses across our country with enrollment and financials or funding. So I'm very qualified to speak on this matter, very qualified. And I don't appreciate this time that I've spent at OUSD to be demeaned and demised by the people that support you. And why do I bring this up right at the end? Because I was very nice to you in your comments, D. Erickson, on purpose, because I wanted people to see that you did this. I was being targeted by the people in your comment section, and you sat there and did nothing. Who also said that?
They were targeting us, and they were physically encroaching upon our space, and Mr. Ledesma did nothing. We have a right. I am elected to do a job, and I have a right to a safe work environment.
Me being very nice to you, Trustee Erickson, even apologizing for getting your board majority wrong for the time length, your followers will still come after me, and you will sit there and you will do nothing, is what you also accused President Ledesma on doing September 7th. So you are perpetuating the same behavior that you advocated against. Wow. Now, you can call me whatever it is that you want, But one thing you're not going to call me, and one thing you're not going to do, is dwindle my experience down to as if I'm ineffective or don't know what I'm talking about. Am I an expert in the public education programs? No. Am I an expert in how to train and teach a child with special needs services that they're requesting? No. But you want to know something that I do know is I can effectively manage leadership, and I can bring sustainable ideas to the district, something that I believe you aren't even doing. Even though you said you implemented this program, you of in itself are hurdling its efforts right before everybody's eyes. I'm not here, Trustee Erickson, to make you look bad or to hurt your feelings or to make you feel uncomfortable. What I'm here to do is to ensure that the American people know the facts and they know exactly what's happening in our district. You can advocate for what you want to advocate for, but do not sit here and blame other people or don't take responsibility for your actions and then make it seem as if you're doing a great job. I could go over the email situation that we talked about, but I'm not going to, okay? You read out my email. You used it for your own argument. I'll pin it in the comments here or in this video here if you guys want to go and deep dive and watch it. But despite our differences, there's still one thing happening that no one is addressing. That is the families of Esplanade that need help with enrollment to sustain their campus, to ensure the lifelong joyful experiences for generations to come. Okay? So, I'm not going to sit here and ask you what it is that we should do. But what I am going to do is offer what I know will help. Obviously, we haven't had the showcases at our elementary schools because, like I mentioned, with the Omicron variant. But what we do know, based on what the district said, is social media really helped Crescent Elementary. And so I'm going to offer to any family that wants to host it for Esplanade families. It doesn't matter where. It could be in a park. It could be in someone's backyard. It could be at someone's home. I don't care. I will come and I will provide a 100% free social media training for the families. I will teach them how to harness the effectiveness of it and how to use it to the best of their abilities. And hopefully people from the school come and see what it is that can help them. But most importantly, I'll also donate us marketing services to them where we can develop materials that they can use to pass out to the community and canvas and let people know the highlights of Esplanade Elementary. This way, the community is aware of the things that have been implemented that could be new at the campus that they didn't know, such as new things that were implemented for the attract and retain. I understand that you need signature programs, expanding programs offered. So if any of that has happened at Esplanade, let's highlight it. Let's push it out in the community. I will help you organize those efforts. But most importantly, I will be there as a resource with any questions so our community can feel supported when they make these attempts. So I will continue to be that resource and come for trainings to be able to help people to go out and enroll Esplanade. That should be the marketing initiative. Trustee Erickson, do you understand the power that you have by just simply being present as a government official? You could take this idea of Enroll Esplanade. I can put it on a t-shirt for you, and you can go out and host a town hall about how important the enrollment is at Esplanade and keeping it flourishing for the generations to come. You could do that, and I can help you do that. Or I can try to do it. But you, as an elected official, have so much more influence and power in our community than I do. I'm just a social media dude, in your guys' opinions, that's a grifter, okay? So if that's the case, one thing you can't deny is I know how to harness the hell out of social media and be able to project my voice out there, which I can do for the Esplanade school campus and I can do for the Esplanade families and ensure that they have the best opportunities possible when it comes to enrolling their campus, which is the exact goal that would hinder the narrative that the school would ever close. The school can't close if it is overflowing with students. If we harness the efforts that the board majority has given us with the parental bill of rights and our parental notification policy, I can almost guarantee you for the schools that are surrounding us, it would flood students here. Could you imagine, let's just say, because I know it happens, in Newport Mesa, right down the freeway from us, a family is concerned about the secrets that are happening with their child at their school. And you hear that the district 5 minutes away up the freeway has a parental notification policy that keeps you in the know, that implemented a parental bill of rights. So you know what you have access to and what your rights are as a parent. Shoot, if that was me, I would leave the moment my lease would let me. I would not renew my apartment lease. I would drive up the freeway and come move over here and send my kids to one of the campuses. Because I know that the board has put in policies to ensure that I'm kept in the know. That's an amazing way to attract students into our campus. But most importantly, like you guys have continuously said, Esplanade is a community school. It's a community campus. So if that's the case, let's harness in on the community and really push our efforts out there, canvas and build awareness. Let's document the whole thing. Let's show Orange County when one of our schools is down, we all get involved. Shoot, I'm willing to lead an effort, call me crazy, that gets all of our campuses together to help Esplanade. Let's create the hype. Let's enroll Esplanade. Let's get everyone aware. Why not? What's the worst that comes out of it? Community connection? But no. You would rather play politics. You would rather say, during the 2 years I was in the majority, I see you edited your original mistake and wish you would do elsewhere. We addressed a lot of long neglected issues, all of which were necessary to support an educational quality for all OUSD students, particularly those with the highest needs. Mr. Ortega has been on the OUSD board for more than 22 years, and Mr. Ledesma approximately 24 years. And in that majority, most of the time, your questions are better direct to them. But since you asked, wow, does that sound like a response from an elected official that is there to serve all the community? Or is that you talking down to me simply because I'm a conservative? I don't know, and I don't care. What I do know is that I know what I'm talking about. I know that I really care about our community. I know that I don't like seeing the families outraged at our boardrooms because they're scared of their campus closing. I don't like that. And that was all created by your party, by a movement that you support. And that's the facts. You know this was a lease offer, and you know it wasn't an offer to close the school. But yet we're going to allow that to perpetuate into the community. And it breaks my heart. It really, really breaks my heart that that's the state that we're at in a public education system in my own backyard. It's just sad and disgusting. But we can sit here and dwindle on that, or we can sit there and try to help each other. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're Democrat, it doesn't matter if you're Republican, we can all help Esplanade. But to the community, I know you guys hear a lot of things about me, a lot of negative narratives about me. And to be honest with you, it just sucks that it's there. I'm not going to sit here and argue with them about it because I have bigger things to do. But I just think it's sad that this is the state that is in an education. I could understand it when you're running for, city council or Senate or Congress and stuff like that. But to sit here and try to paint narratives for someone that wants to better schools is just sad to me. we're all in this to protect the kids, to protect the families, and I just wish that we could find ways to work together instead of constantly being opposition. But this is where we are, and I want to appreciate everyone for listening, and I hope that through this, you guys see that, yes, I am stern, and yes, I push hard, and yes, I won't stop until we have an amazing district for all, and will continue to flourish for all. And call me crazy, but I think I can help, and I think I have. So with that being said, happy Thanksgiving, you guys. And I wish everyone a happy holiday season. And yeah, much love.